All right. First and foremost, I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who was worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and full of the gospel. It's your brother Gabari from the Indiana camp coming back at you again, one another sit down. All right. And I'm going to entitle this video, This is what us in the faith are trying to avoid. All right. And what the greatest thing that we're trying to avoid is the thermonuclear missiles that's going to be sent over here by the other nations and going to eventually destroy this place. All right. And each single one of us, each single brother that you see that's on the highways and byways doing videos, praying, being brotherly to one another, each single one of us is how can I say trying to avoid that punishment. All right. And we show it through our actions, the things that we do, our day to day life, how we walk. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and read a couple of these scriptures and show you the punishment that's going to befall this place, something that we don't want to have no parts of. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. It says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be burning of fuels of fire." Right. Because so what, back in the ancient world, before what the missile was created, you had wars go on where you actually had physical combat. All right, where what two individuals will fight with either a sword, a sledgehammer, a knife, or whatever, and they will actually get blood stained on their clothing. So at the end of a war, the victor or the people who won will be like drenched in blood. So when it says every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, with clashing, you got shields, swords clashing. It's a very confused noise. There's a lot going on. Men screaming. But it says, "and garments rolled in blood." It says, "But what this shall be what burning and fuels of fire." What the third war, this war that's going to come, it's not going to be as the same as all those other ones. This is actually going to be with thermonuclear missiles. You see, and this war is talking about is an upcoming war. No other war besides this one was whatever with a missile fire. All right, so that is that is going to be the war that ends all wars. All right, as it says in the book of Revelations, Armageddon, which means mountain of troops. All right, or Armageddon, if you will. This is Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 1. It says, "Thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that raise up against me a destroying wind." It says, and will send upon Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and they shall empty her land. For in the day of her trouble, they shall be against her round about, against him that bendeth it says, "Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lift up himself up in his bright line. And spare ye not ye young man, and destroy ye utterly all her host." All right. So what in that destroying wind, those archers, that bow, it's all referring, symbolic talking about thermonuclear missiles that's going to be sent over to this place. You know, the archers being who the other nations, starting with Russia, China, Iran. Those are being the leading forces that's gonna issue in that third war. All right. And then bending the bow. When you bend the bow, you don't shoot an arrow directly at a person. You usually shoot up in an arch and let it rain down. That's why the scriptures calls it uh, um it looked like a glittering arrow, coming down. All right. So what it's talking about, the missiles being shot up in the sky and then coming down and landing here upon the lands of America. All right. And the Lord said, well, he was going to destroy it with the destroying wind. So when you see a nuclear bomb drops, it has a gust of wind that goes and sweeps the land. All right. So that what this, but the book of Jeremiah 50 and 51 is clearly talking about basically the Lord getting rid of Babylon through those thermonuclear missiles. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 16. It says, "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." You see? So what? By fire and with the sword. So what? The Lord's not gonna. And the Lord has other ways that He's gonna deal with certain people's judgment, But the thermonuclear missiles is gonna be that main. Um, how can I say that main? Uh, 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 that main the main course meal, if you will. That's gonna be the icing on the cake. That's what's gonna put everything back right when the missiles come in. That's the judgment that we don't want to have no partakers of. All right, that's why we're doing the things that we do. We believe the way we believe because we want the Lord to ultimately redeem us and save us from that upcoming danger, that upcoming threat. You see? And it says, "What the slain of the Lord shall be many." So what? It's going to be a lot of dead bodies after this war is over. Okay. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, "For behold, that day cometh, that day shall burn as an oven, the day that," it says, "and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." All right. So what eventually what is that day is talking about burning. Why is the day of the Lord always talking about burning? Fire, it shall burn as an oven. Because the fire that's going to be sent upon this place is going to be like none else. Matter of fact, do I got that on here? I believe I do. I don't. What is it? So can I grab it? Baba, could y'all bear with me for a minute? Isaiah 54 and 16, it says, "Behold, I create the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire and bringeth forth a instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy." See, so what the Lord has given what Esau Edom the technology and the information for him to what? To bring forth that weapon. All right. This is what? But it's going to be the Lord's doing. All right. Because he's what? I created that smith. I created those German scientists to what? To give them the understanding on how to create the nuclear bomb. All right. To what? To bring forth an instrument for his work that I have created the waster to destroy. What did Oppenheimer say when he says, "I have now become death, destroyer of worlds"? You see? So the Lord created them to bring forth that weapon. So eventually that he can turn around and use it upon him. So it says what? No, so no, so all credit goes to the Lord. You see? So when it says what? "For by fire and his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh," those missiles are really the Lord's missiles. This war that's coming is really the Lord's war. He's coming to back to do all this. All right. So what? When we read about the day of the Lord as being fire, as being burnt, people being burnt up, talking about arrows. All this is like it says in the book of Second Ezra. All these plagues are sent to appease the wrath of him who sent them. All right. The Lord is messing up this place because what he's angry, and he needs to do, and he's sending out judgment to appease that anger, you know. And what are we trying to, and what are we doing, or what are we trying to do is basically get out of the way of the Lord, because we see him coming by swinging that sword, and we don't want to have no partakers in that. So we try to duck and dodge, and basically how do we do that? We try to get on the Lord's good side is basically, I keep saying basically, obeying what he tells us to do. You know, right now the spirit is heavy on doing the work, and just being obedient to the ones that's above you. That's the best we possibly can do right now. All right. Isaiah 34:10, verse 8, it says, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. It says, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof brimstone, and the land thereof shall be burnt pitch. It shall be quenched day nor night. The smoke thereof shall go up forever, for generation to generation. It shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever. So eventually, when this place is being burnt up, this ain't gonna be a dwelling place for mankind no more. It talks about how this place is gonna be a memorial, and what this place is gonna be a live waste for generation to generation. Yes, eventually a fire will burn down, and the smoke will dissipate, but what, it's still gonna have that concentrated radiation over here for it to be uninhabitable. As the book of Isaiah says, what, doleful creatures, owls and the cockatrash to all live over here. All right. It's going to basically be one big desert, one big wasteland. Okay. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 13. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh what fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. You see? And this is the technology the Lord gave Esau to do. But what, it's also all the what is it, the credit goes back to the Lord. Like we read in the book of Isaiah, it said, "What, I created that smith." The Lord gave him that the technology. The Lord gave him the idea to create that nuclear missile. That he make it fire rain down from Earth. What did Thanos say in Endgame? He said, "What, rain down fire." And what, they shot a whole bunch of missiles and laser beams down. That's another thing that the Lord's going to use too. His chariots with the concentrated fire, the right aiming thunderbolts, as the Apocrypha says it. We're going to get this last one, and we'll close up. This is Revelation chapter 15 and verse 1. It says, and I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, seven angels, having the seven last plagues, for in them is filled up with the wrath of the Lord. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that have gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of God. All right. And that sea of glass mingled with fire is basically how this place is going to look. That's why the scriptures calls it what, a lake of fire. All right. And when we're in those chariots, when we're in those IFOs to us, we're gonna look through and see the burning of this place. All right. We're gonna see literally the destruction of this place through the chariots in a safe in our safe haven. Okay. That's why it talks about what, those who got the victory over the beast, the ones who didn't bow down and worship, the ones who didn't cave and fold. All right, that's the reward we're looking forward to. That's what we're all pushing forward to, the kingdom of heaven ultimately. All right. So those are just a couple of scriptures I came up with to talk about the thermonuclear destruction that's coming upon this place, and another judgment that we're trying to avoid. All right. So Lord will have this video is edifying for you brothers out there. Until next time, shalom.